Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of The Reverse Sweep. I am joined as always with Enable, Parasite, and Aches. How we doing today, guys?
Great.
Doug,
You almost blew out my ears.
You're so good at
No. I'm giving a lot of extra energy because Pat, if you guys don't know, first of all, before we get into any topics, we have a lot of great stuff to cover in this episode. But before we get into this entire episode, Pat, for the last 2 episodes, we've been trying to get you guys to subscribe to the channel. I think we're like literally 40 subs off of the goal for Pat to show his hair live on the episode. I just want to show you guys this picture of Pat real quick. But for some reason, he's being weird, and he's got like the beard filter on it, and he's got like his glasses on it as well. So it's like, we got to see this without the beard and without the glasses. So if we could just get
beard, Pat?
Nah, I shaved that. I shaved that off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we could just get like 200 more subscribers, Pat's going to show us his hair before he gets the haircut. So I have to say that before the episode starts, guys.
Okay, so what's on the cards today, boys? Okay, he almost blew out my ears with the intro. But anyways, so yeah, today we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. We've had a very interesting week. We've had some teams rising. We've had some teams falling. But it's been a great week of Call of Duty, and one of those teams that we're going to talk about. We love talking about them, and it's been an amazing week for them. But we gotta praise Prolute. We gotta praise OpTic. These guys beat the Atlanta FaZe this week, which was very, very impressive.
They look good,
doing that twice now with the sub, by the way, twice. Still undefeated versus FaZe. Prolute came in, put up an MVP stat line. Great performance out of him. And the weird part was, we've always talked about FaZe and their SnD, being the lacking, thing against OpTic, but they actually won the Search and Destroy, and they lost all the respawns, and that was off the back end of a phenomenal performance by Prolute. So, yeah, good for him. Pretty happy about that. He's one of my friends, and I'm glad to see him doing well.
You got to think, if they go into this major and win, and they don't drop, they drop a map, maybe 2. That's all I'm saying. You have to think, because Prolute's been lights out, Chris, in my opinion. And it's awesome to see him get his opportunity. I think no matter what, no lie, unless he goes into the major and bombs, he's going to be a starter for some team after Toronto. I'd be mind blown, word to nameless, if he wasn't.
Yeah, but there's also other players that are in that same position. You still kind of see them on the outside looking in. So I'm actually kind of curious to see if that happens, or like what's going through the heads of these teams. Some teams just don't like taking risk, and they're kind of comfortable even though they've been lacking. I don't know. The league is very strange when it comes to making some of these changes, and it sucks.
I know what it is.
Why?
Teams don't want to spend money.
Why
These players aren't
Do
free.
you think that's what it is?
Dude, think about it. Now, like, with Scrappy signing to Toronto after he had a crazy performance in Minnesota, he would have probably been, like, in my opinion, like #1, right, of AM players at the time to get picked up. Signed a sub spot to Toronto. So now, any chance of him getting the Pro League has to be facilitated by a Toronto sell, right? They have to sell him to somebody. Now, Prolute, like, you got to imagine that OpTic's going to sign him to a regular sub contract if he's not already on an official one. So same thing. Then Prolute, if Illy comes back, then Prolute has to be facilitated through a sell from OpTic. So it's like, it adds these hurdles, right? Where like these players who we agree are talented enough to be in the CDL now have to fight the added factor of, well, you got to buy me out. And I think that's a massive, logistic problem for the current CDL, format and structure.
No, I agree with you, but also I think unless it was a meme during the CDL stream, Hastro actually pulled up right next to Prolute while he was doing an interview and grabbed like a paper, it looked like a contract, and he's like, sign here type deal. So it could have been all for show, but you gotta think they're looking to lock him down to some degree.
What do you mean by that, Ian? That hit? What do you mean?
I don't know. That's just kind of weird.
Well, you think that was cringe?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it was definitely
we're not
cringe.
talking about that, but yeah, if that's what happened, I didn't.
If that was for pure memes, but like, obviously they have the intention of actually, doing it for real, but it was pure meme. That shit is cringe as fuck. But if it was actually real, like, hey, good for him, and I hope
honestly,
he gets his contract.
I see it as like a funny meme because like he just had a 1.38 versus FaZe. For him to be like signed right here as a meme, like someone's got to sign this man, right? Like that's what we say whenever someone does well. Someone has to sign this man. Like, hey, here he is signing this man. So
Oh yeah, I
I
mean, of
like
course,
it.
it's a funny
It's
joke.
fun.
It's all in good fun if it's actually a joke, right? But either way, I'm just a grown ass man nowadays. I'm like, dude, that shit's cringe.
You know what I'm saying? It
But hey,
would
dude,
hit,
good
it
for
would
him.
hit more if he like tweeted at him and just said that, like, "Yo, make sure you sign a contract."
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know, Pat. I guess you're right. Realistically, I don't even know how they could go about like fixing, like when you said what the logistics behind it all, because there is a lot of talent that could easily be starters in the league for sure. But if no team's willing to pay for a buyout and then on top of that an actual contract, it's like what are you doing then? Because teams are
You
just
want to
gonna
why?
it's a lose-lose for the teams, like the actual players on the teams that are trying to pick up a player and get better, and then for the player who knows he could be a starter and a lot of teams want him, but he's just sitting on the bench.
Think about
You
the guys that
wanna-
got picked up. Havok and Kismet, completely
Mhm.
free, no contract, just an insta sign, no worries at
Yeah.
all. And even then they were hesitant, right? Like New York released Neptune, freed up his contract amount.
That's
Like
true.
it's pretty tight in the league
Does
right
that mean
now,
they
I
have to
think.
pay him off, Pat, if they like release him?
The current CDL rules are like you only got to pay at 1 or 2 months. Like that's the minimum guarantee. Is like if you release a player, then you have to owe them 1 or 2 months salary as like severance. I'm pretty
So
sure
then-
that's the rule. That's negotiable,
then-
but I think that's the minimum.
But certain players can sign like fully guaranteed ones, like Clayster, right? Like he has a fully guaranteed
Correct.
contract.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, and even if he doesn't, I doubt New York want to let him go in the hopes of selling him later, just because of he's a higher brand player than Neptune or whoever else.
And you want to why teams are so hesitant to spend money in a league where they've already invested so much into it? Because the fucking league is in a terrible place where they are not making profit. Clearly, they're not going to make profit for a couple years in general if it were to work. But like, bro, the league, the viewership's just getting worse every year. YouTube definitely not helping. COD content as a whole has been slowing down. We've talked about this on the show. We've talked about how like they're failing to meet expectations and they're really not doing anything about it. It's like we're the redheaded step kid that just they don't like and
was
they
me.
want to get rid of us. Sorry,
My bad,
sorry,
my
sorry,
bad,
Ian.
Ian.
Yo, what's that?
Sorry, Ian.
No,
Nah, you're not wrong. I mean, without getting too much into the issues with the league, because we've talked about it. Prolute did great, OpTic looked great, but we have to look at Minnesota. Havok joined the squad. They're what 4-0 with him. Well, the Pro-Am didn't go too hot, but in the qualifiers, they're 4-0 right now, I believe. Right? And what do they have? 3 3-0s and 1 reverse sweep. Is that correct?
That sounds right.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's right. But they look like a completely different team. Attach has been playing great. Priest has been stepping it up. And
Priest
I
has
feel
been
good.
frying, dude.
I feel
He
good about that
fried.
because that's what I feel like I was the only person in the COD community that actually like still believed in Priesta in the sense of I shouldn't say still believed, but like I knew that his stats were mostly this is gonna sound fucked up, but were mostly product of his team and not him. Like because he is such a unselfish player, he does whatever he needs to do and he'll put himself in bad positions. And the old team with Major Maniac, that was happening so often. Every series I watched because they were just too slow, their pacing was off. And I feel like having Havok kind of free that up a little bit. Like now we're starting to see how talented Priest is again.
Oh yeah, Priest has definitely been frying. And on top of that, Havok. I think the story of this year, even when we look down the stretch of it, is going to be the impact that not necessarily but subs, but just like not rookies, but like newer players, like challenger players that came in from the challenger scene that got picked up from the challenger scene and made direct impacts on their teams. You're already seeing it with Kismet and Paul X. You're seeing it. You saw it last year with Standy. Like I feel like every year, the impact of these challenger players or these just making good roster changes and not being afraid to take risk and not just being like, you know what, we're gonna stay in house with the current competitive atmosphere and competitive pros or just going after, let's say, older pros that have already had opportunities. Not to say those guys can't compete because I definitely still think they can. And I think Ake said it best when we were talking on the flank is you're only as good as your team and like you see a player's true potential when he's surrounded by good players. You don't see a player's potential when they're surrounded by a shit team. So that's and that's why you see like a team like, for example, Paris. It's like it sucks for the rookies that go on that team, or like Tom Gravity, like Jimbo, because if they're not surrounded by a completely adept team, like you're going to see them struggle or be a lot less inconsistent. But a lot of players that people have written off to some degree, you know, they get their opportunities, or a lot of these newer players get their opportunities and they show out, man. Paul X on New York, frying, Kismet frying. You got Havok playing really well, Prolute playing really well. A lot of these people are just making extremely impactful changes to their teams. And then this week, you see another player that we got to talk about, man. This guy was the Pro-Am Phenom, Challenger Phenom, Scrappy. Scrappy comes in for the Toronto Ultra after an illness from Insight, and I wouldn't say carried, but he
carried in their
He played
series.
good. He played really well.
He played amazing. Not good. He played really good versus New York, who's been on fire lately. So you got to show some love to Scrappy. What do you guys think about Scrappy as a player?
I can say from experience, because I play with him on this game, I think he was just lights out. I mean, every team, if you look at his teams he's played on Vanguard, going back to the first team of the year when he had Tom Gravity, he had Colt Havok, and he had Capsule, and they got second in the first cup. And that's a huge reason why Capsule got a shot with Boston, and probably why he's a starter right now. That's what they saw in the beginning of the year, him going off, and obviously Dens knew him. So I think every team Scrap has joined, Timmy Phantoms, Dylan Rex, I mean, they get second in the elite. He leaves them, and they're not the same team, just making a one-player change. It's just simply not the same. He goes to this new team with Hixie, Mohawk, and Vickle. You know, Hixie first half of the year wasn't finding any good traction with his teams, and then this team comes along, they're winning everything, you know? Like, they get into the elite, win the LAN, they come back, they're doing well in this elite. Now he's going in for Toronto with Insight, and New York is hot right now. I mean, what were they, 2-1 in their matches, and they won the Pro-Am? So
they lost to FaZe, but you know, FaZe is always gonna be a tough map. And but I still think they're like caliber wise, they're probably a top 4 team, like in terms of like how good they've been playing, like overall versus everybody.
Yeah, and you have to think like the role that Scrappy is replacing isn't Cammy, it's Insight, who's a slower main. So I mean, for him to come in every map he went positive, he had the most kills, the most damage, least deaths in search and destroy. I mean, there's not really much weakness to his game. He's also extremely confident, and I'm sure it rubs off on his teammates. It sure as hell did when I played with him. He would just go to every lane, have the best timings on his kills. He would have the best awareness on the map. He'd bring a lot of passion.
He just doesn't give a fuck, dude.
A lot of energy, a lot of passion, very calculated. So it's really fun to play with a player like that, because it really makes it easy for you on the map to just pick however you want to play and do what you want to do, and, you know, have fun and just do your job, you know. And I think he showed that with Toronto today with that New York series. I think he was a huge reason why in that game 5 they were able to come back, because obviously they were down 3-0 and they won 6 rounds. So I just think he's a full, complete player, and he's either going to be a starter on that Toronto team soon, or maybe another team will buy him out, Pat.
What about you, Pat? I know you're high on the Toronto Ultra, so let me get your takes on Scrappy.
Baby. Yeah, would your champs make it a team change?
Yeah, would you care, or would you mind if they made a change for Scrappy? And if so, like, who do you think he would replace?
It's a good question, because Insight's not been playing bad at all on this team. We kind of talked about it, like Kleenex and Cammy were the ones that were underperforming from their, you know, standards or what we expected them. Kleenex, in my opinion, has definitely stepped it up, and I think Cammy's made strides to be better. But I think what Scrappy does when he comes in for this Toronto team is he kind of alleviates a lot of pressure, because he's playing a lot faster than Insight is, and I think that's helping Cammy. I don't know necessarily if they would be better or worse. I think it's kind of a good thing to have in their bag if they need it. But I don't think it's justifiable yet to replace Insight with, or anyone on this roster with, Scrappy just yet, until we see how they perform at Major 3. This is kind of like the last test for them to kind of like, hey, we had a sloppy, you know, Major 2. Let's see if we can get back to where we want to be. And they've been playing well, in my opinion. Like, even with Insight, like they've been making great strides to improve. And I think they get better on LAN, which is something I wanted to kind of, I forgot to chime in about. That Minnesota team is like, I'm high on those guys, but like, I gotta see them perform on LAN. You know, I think they've been playing really well online, and I'm not saying that they're individually onliners or anything like that, But I mean, we've seen in the past where performances where players just are peaking online and they don't translate that to LAN for whatever reason. I think the one thing that you guys kind of touched on is how good Priest is playing. And it's like, well, for me, if Kleenex could bring that same energy, especially how he plays on LAN, where he's playing fast and just gunning people, I think the strong team's going to be fine. I think for them, if they bomb out of Major 3, that's when they look at bringing Scrappy in. I think he can play well, dude. He's super talented, and I wouldn't be surprised if very soon, if a team is looking to make a change, they don't call Toronto up and just discuss options and see if they can get him.
No cash for him, bro.
But they don't necessarily need cash. Like it could be a trade or whatever.
That kid is ridiculous though, because like he's not like okay.
I'd trade Drazah for Scrappy.
A lot of players. Okay, so a lot of time it's like SMG players are looked at as picked up, right? SMG players make high impact, make like high impact changes to teams. Obviously, when you switch up your SMG dynamic, if you're weak, like for example Paris, definitely weak in that department, could definitely use some changes there. But like SMGs make your team better if you pick up good ones. ARs are always looked at the least because like traditionally the AR player is just a lot slower. It's a lot easier to understand. It's just not always looked at as the main problem. But when you look at a player like Scrappy, this guy brings so much aggression that he's like a Celium type player. He's like a Dashy type player, right? Like he's an aggressive, like he's a flex. Like he's not just necessarily like some AR player that's kind of play slow, play traditional, play smart, blah, blah. This guy is like raw. Like so picking up a player like that, I definitely could see make a huge direct impact to a lot of teams. I think a team that again is looking down the barrel of roster changes right now is 100 Thieves or LA Thieves. Sorry. You're also looking at the LA Gorillas. These guys are in shambles. Paris could definitely use some players. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what other teams.
Florida, Seattle. I would trade Scrappy to any of those teams if I could make that happen.
Yeah, I just think a lot of them.
Could you imagine Seattle? Could you imagine Scrappy gets on Seattle for Lamar?
Yeah,
that team would be gross.
I feel like at this point, so Seattle has been playing
pretty nasty.
Seattle has been playing better, which is great for them. But I'm still not sold on it. Obviously, these guys just have consistency issues.
Back on the Scrappy thing, though. Sorry, Chris. Did he compete in any other CODs?
He played. No,
he played last year
in Cold War for the first time.
He just turned 18.
And I first heard about him in World War II, but it was, in Modern Warfare, but he was playing World War II challenges. Like he was playing.
You gotta be built different.
He was 18 last year.
He's 18 this year.
He's 19 this year. Yeah.
Okay. So he was an S&D kid.
I think it was the off season.
Bro, all these, I keep calling them kids, but they're all like 18 years old. But all these rookies, right? All these guys started from like S&D. It's actually crazy. Like you look at some of the great players that like came from S&D. It's like, I mean, Pharaoh, right? Decimated at one point. Prolute's really good from S&D. Spart really good from S&D. Drazah, S&D. Like all these guys are literally.
We can't be throwing around great though, like that.
Okay, but they are good.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not
I think that
Pharaoh
takes a little
would be one
faded
of them
though.
who was like an S&D kid, but like no disrespect, like Decimate's not a great, Prolute and Scrappy maybe can be in the future. They're not.
I'm not saying they're like the greatest player. I'm saying they're great players. They're good players.
But to be honest, dude, everybody came from S&D. Literally every player ever came from S&D.
Well, did you three come from S&D?
Yeah, I came from S&D. For S&D, like, yeah, I mean, that's what, because the thing is, like, no one plays like respawn tournaments and chows. Yeah, it's always S&D tournaments and chows. That's what's always happening. So it's like, that's where everybody comes from.
But it's actually kind of crazy how like a lot of these guys came up.
The question I want to bring up then, because this is something I think about, how is it that we all come from S&D and then a lot of these amateur challenger players are saying, oh, pros play S&D scared, but we all came from the S&D scene? Is it just like our S&D style is just older or?
Nah, to me, the biggest thing I notice is like the way challenger players play S&D is they play at such a high risk. Like the plays they make are super high risk and it works a lot, especially in challengers, especially in like 8s and chows. But it's like, if you get that type of style in like a super high pressure environment where a good team is playing a good spread or have had a good setup, like that style can get super punished, like super punished. And I think it's just like online, these matches, like people are trying different shit. Like I feel like that style works a lot better, especially in like when people go and play 8 chows or whatever, or tournaments. Like online tournaments. Like, it just, that style is gonna fry because they're playing high risk and they're getting away with stuff that otherwise a good solid fundamental team could really abuse, like that kind of style. And I
It's
think that's
also
always why they think,
They don't.
oh, pros don't play like we do. And it's like, yeah, because they're playing like a team-based SND
It-
where they're playing SN challengers and SND
it's what
kids are
Pat
playing
said.
risky solo.
It's like S&D players. I mean, I obviously didn't come from the S&D scene. I came from Halo. Like, there's just no pressure when you're playing either in challenges or S&D tournaments, compared to like actually being in a live event.
Yeah, you got $50
I mean,
on the line versus a major tournament.
No,
Oh,
like
I
what I'm
mean,
saying is even the best S&D kid, like I'm talking about the best S&D kids that I've either seen, played against or played with, when it comes down to an actual tournament, and I'm not talking about these online matches or whatever, they didn't play with that same level of aggression because there's more on the line. It's just psychology. Like you don't
I don't
care
know.
if
I
you
wouldn't
run down middle of the
necessarily-
map. Like,
I
Bro,
don't
did you see
necessarily
that play
say that.
Havok made on was it Desert Siege, bro? He
yeah,
literally
when
just
you got the 2-piece.
bro, he just said fuck it, like ran straight through B bomb all the way to their side and sat in a corner. Like, bro, cell slasher, like why aren't they just they would just be on the mound holding that lane, not letting that happen. Like
Yeah.
plays like
just
that
more
where it's
organized.
high
It's more
risk.
organized.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Challengers in general, the
It
players.
looks really cool when it works though. It looks dope.
Yeah,
It looks like they made a dope play. But
200 IQ, right?
yeah.
But anyways, to get us back on track, just talking about like the impact of challengers. One team that is sorely missing the impact of a potential roster changer, bringing in some sort of talent at the moment, is LA Thieves. We've talked about these guys one too many fucking times on this show.
right here, baby.
And every
Pentagrxm.
single day, every single time on the show, we're talking about they are missing something. They keep trying to do something. They're missing something. They got no ice. They're choking. They need Kenny on a sub. They need this and that. When are we going to talk about just a outright roster change? These guys need to they need to switch something up because this is unacceptable. They've tried everything in the book. I know that they recently came out with some like, I guess, excuses, as some people would call it, with the servers and some added latency or something that was going on during their match. We'll talk about it more here in a sec. But just in general, what do you guys think LA Thieves needs to do? I personally would like to see them at least give their sub a chance.
For
Because
who?
they lack, I don't know, probably Kenny. And I know Kenny's their franchise player, but he's struggling. Maybe this isn't his game. Maybe he takes a break. I don't know. But they have a piece of a player that naturally plays the role that they need. Just give him a fucking shot. You're already fucking up league matches. Just give him a shot. Put him in some scrims. Trial him maybe. See how he does.
You want to know
Do
what the issue
something.
is? You want to know what the issue
Do
is?
something.
Because I agree with you. I think at this point they have to make a change, whether or not their excuses have any sort of backing. Like, you're in LA, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing it to yourself essentially for even being in that situation. But the issue, and I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, and I hate to say it, is you look at the stats, right? Kenny's been performing horribly. Like, since the switch, he's been the worst on the team. Statistics.
By
Statistically.
far.
By far.
What's his stats at right now?
Yeah, it's not. It's like a 0.6, 0.7 average.
Yeah, it's bad.
But and this
With the
is all
sub, he's
bias
at
aside,
0.7?
when I talk to the players and like Cap and Mud Dog, they think Ken is like one or two. Like, if you were to rank them in order, he's like one or two on the team. So you have that, and then you throw in the fact, and here's the hot take. I don't know if Envoy's style works for 4v4 Call of Duty. Like, I love Envoy, and statistically, Envoy's probably their best player. But like, it's kind of being proven in front of our eyes. You look at when he blew up and everyone was on the Envoy hype train, right? Black Ops 4, 5v5, Modern Warfare, he was great, 5v5. And then
He's good as hell at Cold War though.
no, but a lot of people, including people inside the team, thought a lot of their issues came from him because of his play style.
Can you elaborate on that, Ian?
I mean, he's always going to take a route. He's always going to be pinching, like flanking, playing very. he has like he plays aggressive, but not necessarily on the right areas of the map, or like he'll always
Bro, he
take a
plays like
route.
he plays like a rat. He plays like a rat.
He's not meeting
Like,
pressure with pressure when he
I mean,
needs to.
but he doesn't play like a rat pat. If you watch, like he gets aggressive, but there's situations where like we all know the assembly line. You know what I mean? It's like I'm this guy, I got to take this route. Where I feel like he gets stuck in this rhythm where he's always taking the route when he needs to just head
Blood.
smash straight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like do something to get more in the mix. So I'm not blaming him, but that's where it's tough. Where if Kenny's performing the worst, but the team, from my understanding, they rank him 1 or 2. Envoy's performing the best, but like if you watch the games, it's clear he is definitely not in as much mix as the rest of the
he's
team.
been playing bad lately too. I think the change of Kin going to a sub also kind of hurt him. Like I think they both kind of like that kind of like exposes the situation you're talking about. It's like when Kin's getting smoked and you have Envoy playing like that, I think it's like exposing the fact that he's playing even worse.
So I just don't know who you trial, because once again, I do think that they need to make some sort of move. I think Chris, you're right, but I don't think trialing multiple players is the right move. And then if you were just to trial one, I don't even know who I'd pick.
You have to pick your sub, Ian, right?
Well, no, I'm saying I don't know who I would trial or who I would put on the bench from the starting roster, Doug. That's what I'm saying. You know, like,
well, they're gonna go off of.
This is what I would do. I would try. Well, are we assuming they're getting no one? Like, is that what we're assuming?
We're assuming it's gonna be Pentagrxm, right?
No. But we're assuming that they're getting no one else. Like they're not buying anyone out.
I will say I think they would be one of the few teams, Pat, that could get like a Scrappy or could get a Prolute. Like they would be willing to pay.
So this is what I would do if I'm them. I'd get Kenny on main, bench Octane. I'd pick up Scrappy, have him run flex, and then I would try either Drazah or Pentagrxm in that second sub role, and then have Envoy as normal SMG as he kind of is.
Okay, well, from what I said, I want your guys' opinions then. Which would you rather, like, if you could only make one move, right? Would you rather bench a guy who's been performing the worst statistically, or bench a guy that I'm not trying to make it seem like this is all an Envoy, but like there could be fundamental issues with that person's play style. Like, which person would you swap out, even though Envoy's stats are way better? I know you said Octane, Pat, but like I'm just thinking if it was just Pentagrxm.
But to your answer, I think bottom line, Kenny has to get off a sub. Like no matter what you do, Kenny's got to go back to an AR. He was frying. Well, he was playing a lot better. He was playing well with an AR, and he's been getting like he just looks horrible in this like new role, whatever. So I think bottom line, they have to revert that. Like experiment tried and failed. It's not a thing. So then it's like, okay, well, you do that. Now let's talk about who we're going to bring Pentagrxm in for. And it's like, okay, well, if you revert back to that, well, you probably have to go Drazah or Envoy. Yeah, you have to leave Sam on the team, because to me, that was working fine when it was like Sam and Ken on ARs and Drazah on a sub. And I thought Drazah was playing well, but to be honest, they were all kind of performing solid. Like, think about it. Before they went into Major 1, like they all looked great. Like they were frying. And then they went to Major 1, that whatever happened, and then they just took a nosedive off Major 2. Well, you know what I mean? They were like, they would have moments online in their online qualifiers where like they would look like they could all take over. Like Drazah was probably the weakest, but they looked like they could all take over.
So who would you bring Pentagrxm in for, Pat? Would it be for Drazah or would it be for Envoy?
I guess it's based on what Ian, like, do you think internally that they believe that like Envoy is playing wrong? Like, if you had to assume, not like saying word for word, or because if that's their reasoning, then it has to be Envoy. If they think Envoy's playing that way,
I'll simplify it the best I can, and I'll use a different example too, so people don't think I'm biased. Right? You look at Minnesota ROKKR with the move that they made. Priesthood was definitely the worst statistically on the team. But I'm assuming, and it was obvious, we all called it, everyone in the COD community called it, that there was a fundamental issue with their pacing. That was the bigger problem than someone just consistently getting smoked on the map, right? Not shooting back. Yeah. Ken hasn't been shooting back. Now, do you think that could be a product of just he's kind of in a lot of bad situations because of maybe fundamental issues, or you think he's just getting smoked, like he just is not shooting, like he's not shooting straight, he's not doing the right things, because that's how you decide which one you bench. I don't think you can bench Octane or Drazah unless they can actually make a move, like Pat, like if they can get Scrappy or Prolute.
Yeah.
Like if you're only choosing Pentagrxm to do this trial, I don't think you could bench either of those two. I don't think it would help.
I agree.
Well, I think Pentagrxm is a natural sub, and they seem to have an issue with having a natural sub on the team. So if it's me, I'd probably just try out Pentagrxm for Envoy because I feel like their play styles are a little bit more similar than like Kenny's and Pentagrxm.
But you leave Kenny on a sub?
How does Pentagrxm
You
play?
try that?
Because I don't know how he plays. Like, what's his play style?
He's very
Chris-
aggressive. He challenges
Very aggressive.
everything.
Okay.
But it's like you leave Kenny on the role that he's in right now and try Pentagrxm.
I would try it just because Kenny
You
seems
see
to
what
be.
Priest is doing now, Pat?
I mean,
yeah,
dude,
dude,
is
Priest
Envoy
also
a slow
played every
player?
role in the game, bro. He went
Would-
from
that-
sub
okay,
to
that's fair.
AR to
would you say
like-
Envoy is a slower sub player?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, dude. But Envoy's
Like, if you
got a
gotta say
unique play
faster or
style.
slower, like what would you say?
He's
'Cause I
slow,
feel like
but he's different.
He gets
bro.
an
No one plays like
incredible
him.
amount of gas. Like somebody needs to describe to me specifically, like what is like the best characteristic of Envoy? Is it a faster sub player? Is it like a slower one? Like
I think he's a methodical
Yeah,
SMG
so
player.
like he gets a lot of engagements, but he doesn't play like a Vivid or a Havok, right? Like a slower sub would be like a Scump or a Simp, but they do it right. He is faster than them, but I don't think he puts himself in the best position for the team consistently. Whereas Scump, Simp, other subs like that, they do that at a more consistent like level, in my opinion.
so then what? Yeah, I would just put Pentagrxm in for him and see how it goes in trials. It's that simple because he's already on your bench. He's already going a lot of the tournaments. I mean, we see it in challenges all the time. There's players who come up. I mean, Insight last year, like wasn't he? You know, he wasn't doing that well for a little bit in challengers, and then top 64 to getting first, just
Yeah.
changing his team up a little bit. So maybe Pentagrxm just needs the right fit, the right teammates, and the right players, and he definitely will bring aggression to this Thieves roster. Maybe it'll alleviate some pressure off of them.
It's possible.
What do you think, Chris? If you
Sorry,
were the
I checked out for a
GM,
second.
if you
Of
were the
what?
general manager of LAT, okay, you're
Mhm.
not picking up a player, you're trialing Pentagrxm. Who would you trial him for?
Both.
You would just
Envoy
try.
and
You would just
Kenny.
try Envoy and Kenny.
Yeah.
Would you try reverting Kenny back to an AR?
I would ask Kenny what he wants to do.
You got chalk that. Throw that out the window.
I mean, if he's more comfortable doing X and not even like and so close-minded to doing Y, for example, he's not, and you want him to do something and he's not going to meet that role, you got to chalk him. Period. I get it. You love, he's a part of your little family. He's a franchise player for you. But if he is not willing to support a role like that, your
I mean,
team
he was willing. He did it.
Okay. I'm just saying.
He just got cooked.
I'm saying if he doesn't want to do that and he's not going to be comfortable doing that, you got to stop forcing the issue.
That's fair.
Period.
That's fair.
Even if that means he's not playing. If you can't find a solution that works with him, you just got to go. He's just got to go and sit out, or go somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with him sitting out if this is just like they can't find a way to make it work. And he should understand that.
Dude, the problem with it, I think the Thieves are facing is they are. Let me just bring up the standings really quick. They are currently at 8, so they're kind of at like the top end of like the teams battling for those last 2 spots. So
Close.
yeah, there's not like room for them to like keep testing shit. Like I feel like they just gotta figure something out and stick to it and grind the season out. Like they need wins. Like bro,
Yeah.
right now,
You don't want to repeat of last year, where
yeah, bro, 6 through 12 is like, or sorry, 6 through 11. Paris is not making the champs, but 6 through 11 is like anyone can get that spot, those 2 spots. So, or those 3 spots actually. Like it's 6 teams battling for 3 spots right now. Like, and there's only 2 events left. So we got 1 qualifier 1 qualifier weekend, a major, a full qualifier, and a major, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. I think any way
So-
you slice it, they can only make one move. Whether it's a blockbuster and they can maybe get one of these players like Scrappy or Prolute or anyone else, like a trade of another starter on a team, or just putting Pentagrxm in. I don't think they have the time, like you said.
Like trial them or find an option.
But they need
The
to
fact
do
that they
it, and
haven't-
that's said and done. That's the roster rest of the year. Because once you start flopping back and forth, you're just not going to improve. You just fall further and further behind. In my opinion,
I just think
Sounds like challengers, Ian.
I just think
Those
they need
guys
to
are
find
idiots.
they need to find a solution, even if it's not with somebody they want to keep in the roster. If it means this player sitting out, like he should understand that if he's more comfortable doing something and they can't find a roster or something to sustain him still being on the team with him playing the role that he is playing, he should understand that and just be like, that's fine. It is what it is. I'll sit out as much as he might not want to. If we can't find a solution for you, like they're not going to go out of their way to accommodate this man. Like, let's say in order to accommodate this guy playing well or accommodate the role that he wants, they would have to bench 2 players. Why would they do that when they can just get rid of him and find a solution for 1 player? I don't know.
yeah, no, that's fair.
I think he should understand the situation he's in if something like that does come up. I'm not calling for this guy to be dropped. I know the talent Kenny has. He's always been talented, but right now the team's not working and he might be the piece that needs to go or it might be somebody else, but they need to try something. Some trials, something, just or look for a direct replacement. But before it's
Speaking of trial, Chris, I want to talk about Gunless for a second because they trialed basically Spart after they won the major, rightfully so. And they didn't really give him too much time. And then they put Spart back on the bench. They put Gunless back in. They finally got a win on the board. Pat and I were watching that live together. Came down to John almost 1v3ing on a Bokage. Paris lost 6-4 last map. Obviously, Gorillas. I don't know how to feel about this team. And maybe it just says something about this game for a team to go from about a month ago winning a major, having a sub being an MVP, to having the sub going back to the bench, barely getting by in a win versus Paris. What does it say about this Gorillas team? What does it say about this team in general? Like, for me, it just shows me how inconsistent things can be.
I don't know. I think the stars just aligned when they won that tournament because like they have shown me nothing to like
Before
even,
or after.
before or after
Yeah.
to even somewhat replicate that sort of potential.
It was a miracle. Everything
It
went
was
right
a
for them.
fuck- it
Everything
was
went right that
badass a
weekend.
miracle,
That's it.
bro.
It's a unanimous decision. This is a miracle we're going to call
bro.
it.
This is a completely different environment. But for example, my lore team in Cold War, Doug, you would know this team. It was me, Ramby, Yeez, and Perform. We won the elite, but after that, we were like, phew. But during the elite, bro, we are unfuckwittable, right? It's like the same thing. It's just sometimes a team just gets you a rhythm one weekend where they just look really good, dude. And then like you go back home, everything that happened that weekend just flies out the fucking window. Like it's very rare that something like that happens, but it happened at LAG because they've shown us nothing to suggest that they are capable of winning a tournament with or before, like Ian said.
Yep.
I don't know. I think them bringing back Gunless wasn't a bad idea, but they weren't in it. They're not in a good position either way. I still think they have a lot of ground to cover, and they might even need to make another change if they want to even be competitive. Because before, after, it doesn't matter. Slasher was struggling on the roster. He had a very up and down last couple of weeks, but he's back to kind of just playing okay-ish. Or bad.
Okay, he's been playing horrible. They all have, bro. I haven't seen one impressive game out of any of them.
I'm talking about statistically. Like, I'm not talking about, statistically, he's been playing okay-ish. Asim's been playing terrible. And I think that was one of the reasons why they were even competitive at the beginning of the year. He was fucking one of the best players. He was probably their best player.
He was.
And Hook's playing average as well. Mm-hmm. Like, Hook's had the potential to go off. And then they bring back Gunless, who's just came back from being ill and, I think had a surgery or something like that. So they're just all over the place, dude. I don't know. I think that they're just in a shit spot, but that event was a fucking miracle, bro, because they don't look like a team that's ever won an event. Like, it just makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
So how do we rate them compared to Paris then, Ian?
I mean, they're better than Paris.
Barely, bro. They barely beat him.
Look,
I was rooting for Pat was rooting for Paris today, man. He was excited
So
for John. He
here's
wanted to
why.
catch that 1v3.
well, I don't even need to explain myself why they're better, but them picking Gunless back up or moving him back to the starting lineup was the right move because no disrespect to Spart, they could have won in the same fashion they did with Spart if Gunless was in the roster. It was a complete miracle. Just the cards fell in their favor. That's all that was. They easily could have been top 12 or top 8, whatever, at that event. And I know the players at that event were using the Volk, but Spart obviously had way more reps with it. I know he was playing solid without the gun. I get that, and he's not bad. Gunless is just the better player.
And they won 10 SNDs in a row.
Yeah, like come on. I think that them winning that event though was the biggest issue. Like they just need to hit the reset button and start from a clean slate. Because even though if they're smart, they know that it was a miracle and there's no way you can replicate that. And on top of the fact that they weren't really good before and they haven't been good after, I think it's just like one of those internal struggles with, Gunless is back, but they won with Spart. They're still not performing well. I think if they just have a clean slate, they could actually be a solid team going into champs. Paris, on the other hand, though, they're horrible. Like the only player.
Dude, Paris' problem, dude, is both their subs.
Two players, Jimbo and John. They gotta go.
They're horrible, dude.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago. Obviously, you don't have a long career in Call of Duty or esports in general. If you're not performing at a very high level, that's it. Jimbo has had enough time. John obviously has had success in the past. He's had enough time on starting rosters. They have to go. Tom Gravity, on the other hand, though, he wasn't doing too hot when they first picked him up, but I thought he's been playing very solid as of late for them. So I don't even know what they can do, though, because Paris isn't going to pay anybody. Yeah. But John and Jimbo, if they had 2 solid subs or like 1 pretty good sub, I think that this team could be way better. They're competitive.
Bro, imagine they had Kismet and Havok. Like they got the 2 subs on that Texas Nation.
They could be a top 5 team in the game. No, I'm
bro,
not even kidding.
This is like
they could be top 5 with that.
This
team.
is like the best Donnie I've ever seen. Like ever in his whole career. I've never seen him play better.
You see the way he was pinching on Gavutu control today?
Bro,
he's good.
Bro,
I was like, wow.
Bro,
like,
he hasn't had a bad series on this Paris team. And like knowing that he's playing with people who are legit costing him. Like legit costing.
Why do you say it like that, Pat?
Bro,
you're making me laugh, dude.
He's actually not.
No, I understand that. It's just
costed. Like,
the way you say that, Pat, it's like, damn, dude. Like,
yeah, bro. And he's dropping like 1.2s and 1.3s, going plus 20 and going game 5s, and like he's the only one positive on his team. Like I've never seen him be this consistent. I feel for him because I feel like this is one of his better CODs, and he's like in a really shit situation under a really shit organization who's not going to help him out at all. And yeah, I mean, dude, even if they just picked up 2 challenger subs, bro, like anyone, they would be better. John has had his trial run, bro. We saw John in Cold War when he joined 100 Thieves. Like, it wasn't good. Yeah. He got the chance this year. He had some moments, but 80% of the time he's been horrible. I love John, but he's been really bad. And then they just added Jimbo, who was, to be honest, probably the worst pick for them only because of how inconsistent he is. Like, that's the last thing this Paris team needed was someone who was going to be inconsistent.
Pat. It's not the good kind.
Listen, bro, he
did have a 10 kill streak on Gavutu control today, Pat.
I don't give a fuck about no 10 kills.
But
he had a 0.7.
Yeah, and it's like 0.7 after 0.7 after 0.7. So, yeah, I think, dude, if they should just chalk those 2 up, try 2 more. Like, it's not going to cost them anything to do that. Like, it's you get rid of the 2 contracts that you got, you put 2 of the same contracts on the team, and you just keep the motion running. Like, for them, it's literally not costing them anything.
It is.
Just keep doing it, bro.
You already said they got to pay them for the like 2 extra months. So during that portion where they got 2 more players, they're playing double for 2 months.
That's like $2,000 a player, bro. They can afford that.
They're stingy over there in Paris, bro.
Bro, it's not, bro. Minimum isn't that bad.
Bro, you gotta think the minimum is like 50K. That annualized, like they're not after tax, bro. They could afford to just chalk up 2 players for like 2, 3, 4 grand.
Can they actually afford them?
They can.
Bro, Bro, if I'm Donnie,
I think there's coaches that make more than the whole Paris.
oh,
team.
that's 100% true. And if I'm
Like-
Donnie, bro, I'm turning the stream on. Go fund me, yo. Help me get 2 more
Bro,
players.
he is.
Paris-
Help me
I
get
don't know.
two new teammates.
Bro,
Bro,
he
Paris-
doesn't have that, but he
Paris
is turning the
needs-
stream on.
Paris needs the
That's not
contract
Bro,
buyout
that's
money
not
for our
okay.
own players.
Bro, he's
That is
live
not
right
okay,
now.
man.
Honestly, tell him to set the goal. But honestly, bro,
Bro, that team could be
Paris-
solid if they just get 2 guys.
they could be. But hey, Paris as a whole is just.
Ugh.
This will be good for Don though. He'll get another shot at a better team next year.
We hope he's on a 1+1. Imagine Paris just lock him back
God.
in. They lock him back in for year 2, 50K men.
I'm pretty
I don't know who will
confident.
get you.
I'm pretty confident Don's gonna have a say on what he's gonna be doing next year.
I hope so. For his sake, I hope so, because he's actually frying.
No, I mean, dude, like I said, those pitches he had, those pitches on Gavutu today. I mean, he was doing everything on the map because Jimbo had that 110 kill streak. Pat, that's right when we started, I recall. And then in that last round, I mean, Donnie just made so many big timing pinching plays, getting 3 pieces after 3 pieces. I was like, this guy's positive.
And he
It's
ended
Jimbo
up
doing
negative.
0.7, Doug. What
He ended
is
up negative
happening?
on that map, too.
How
Wait,
is
in
that
the
possible?
series?
On
He was
that
fat.
I mean, he didn't have a 0.7 that map, but he went negative.
Oh, in the series, he had a 0.7?
Yeah, in the
I'm pretty
series.
sure.
But on that map,
Well,
I think he ended negative that series. He
No,
went on
I
a 10
think-
kill streak.
I think he finished like positive too, but then I think in the Tuscan control, he just didn't play that well. I think he went
Let me go
dumb
look.
neg with no hill time.
Don't matter.
Bro.
Blow it up. That Paris.
Paris is an organization.
Blow
Let
the
alone the
organization
team.
up.
Stinks, bro. And like, listen, the team.
He went
sucks.
even. He went
The team-
25 and 25 after a 10 kill streak. So he was what, 15, 25, ended up even?
Hey,
Listen,
if, I,
no, no.
if I'm in a 10 kill streak, I'm 2.0 that game. 2.0 period. You're not catching me going even if I go.
I've had a fair share of those 10 kill streaks, and it usually ends up, yeah. I mean,
What,
you're feeling yourself.
Yeah, as in an even or yeah, as in 2.0.
No, like, dude, it might be a 5.0, Ian. I
Oh,
mean,
that's what I'm saying,
you're
bro.
feeling yourself. You're reading everything. Like,
Yeah.
your timings are immaculate, you know?
Good lord,
I
he
was gonna
did.
say the team stinks, but honestly, it's a product of the organization because I don't think that any of these players are necessary. Well, besides, I think John has been lackluster for a while. I think he was on the Thieves last year. Besides John, sorry to target him, but I think Jimbo has shown that he can be decent, pretty good at the pro-am. He played well.
Decently ass.
When?
I haven't
No,
seen
at the
nothing
pro-
out of
at the
him.
pro-am, he played good for his team. Donnie
Bro,
and
we
him both
can't-
played good.
We can't talk about
okay.
3 series.
Okay. Regardless, let me finish. I think that
You're telling me that
he
he's
can be-
godlike on land and just ass online? Is that
well,
it?
apparently he plays from Montreal and they don't have offices. Obviously, Paris doesn't have offices. and
Paris
they-
can't give him a. Oh, chalk it up. They're not
we've
getting
already
no
had
new
this.
players. They can't get a visa for
we've
my
already
mans.
talked about this. Like, I'm not one to make complete excuses.
Yeah,
I
now
was-
we
I was
gotta
Well, how
get
does he
two
play on land, though?
GoFundMes.
What's his
I
land
was
stats then? What's his
I
land
think it was
stats?
like 0.9, bro.
Okay,
It was like
okay,
That's a
point
lot better than a 0.7,
That's a
though.
lot
I mean,
better
that's
than
All
huge.
right, all right.
blind. Hey,
Bro,
listen, I'm
it
not
was
gonna say that-
he
I'm not
played an
saying-
amateur team and like whoever. Bro, listen, get a second GoFundMe, bro. Don, second GoFundMe, one for the contract buyouts for Paris, the second one to get Jimbo down into the States until you can get the second
I'm not
GoFundMe to
saying
hit.
this guy is a generational talent. I'm saying I'm not going to completely outright shit on because we've already said if you're on a good team, it's going to be a lot easier to play better. But also, he's in a shit situation. He didn't play terrible at the pro-am. They actually
but-
beat some teams. They beat some teams. Let me finish. Okay. So at the same time, like these guys are such a shit environment because of their organization. This guy can't even play in the States for his online matches. So
That's
he's fucked.
unacceptable. That's
On top of
unacceptable.
that, like their team is just like whoever they can get. It's not like any of them are like put in a good environment. You actually think these guys all wanted to team with each other? No,
No, for sure not.
Bro, you
for
know
sure
what?
not.
But
Like,
we need players that can at least hold their own.
You know
Like
what
we
Paris
agree that
Legion
this
looks
is a
like?
bad team. They got to be able to hold their own.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Invincible?
I don't believe so.
Doug, you
I
probably
have.
have it. So it's based on a true story of I forget the dude's name, but he was an Eagles dude, right? Look, Eagles, their organization, their team was so trash. Okay, it's the complete opposite as of recently. You know, Super Bowl champs. They were holding open tryouts for anyone to like. Doug, you could have walked in. This is like the 80s or something. Like you could have walked in and tried out, and if you were good enough, you were on the team. That's what Paris is doing. That's what they remind me of.
Would
Because-
any of you come out of retirement right now? Not you, Doug, but would any of you come out of retirement right now and play for Paris? Guaranteed spot.
No.
Guaranteed spot.
To make 50K? No.
What would it take? What would it take for you to come back and play for you right now to come back and,
Right
and
now?
play for John or Jimbo? What would it take? What would Paris have to offer you?
5-year deal, 500K per year minimum.
Damn, 2.5 mil contract to get back.
Yeah. Why would I go? Why would you go play with the most dog shit, respectfully, Paris, dog shit ass org, make minimum salary 50K, which is not a lot, and you're stressing because you're on the worst team in the league? That does not sound fun at all.
I think players would want it though. I still think they would want it because one, players and challengers do not have money. I mean, they're sacrificing so much time every single day. They're not going to jobs. They're not working. They're not making income. So the money's nice for them. And also it's a opportunity. Like for Tom Gravity, you guys both said he's been playing solid as of late. It might be an opportunity for expansion next year if there's going to be new teams, or if maybe another team needs an AR, he'll get an opportunity there. You know, I mean,
you're not wrong with that, Doug.
If you just play well, it'll help you.
It's if
you know?
They don't have any other option, though. Like if any challenger player had two options from Paris or any other team in the league, they're choosing the other team 100 out of 100 times. There's
absolutely
no shot.
As of right now, think about like Paris year 1 and year 2. Like as of right now, from what we've seen, playing for Paris is literally a career destiny.
Bro, they swindled a guy who was like assistant coach and wasn't even getting paid, right?
Yeah, Mike Apox didn't get paid. But think about it. Who was on Paris year 1? Zed, Dins, Kismet, Luca, and what's his name? Shocks, yeah. All gone. All gone. Year 2. Kismet's back, but he was in challengers. Like he was in a bad spot. Without the NYSL blessing, he was in a bad spot. Year 2. So they signed in Cold War. Aqua, Classic, Fire, Scraps. None of them are playing right now. Classics and challengers, right? Then we go into They trade for Don. They get Don. He's the only one, right, that stayed because Decimate out. Is Decimate even playing challengers? I don't know.
He's not playing right now, no.
Yeah, Fellow's the last person that's playing challengers, and John and Tip are still on the team. Like every single player that's went through Paris is literally in a horrible spot. Horrible.
Yep. You got to blame it on the org.
You have to, bro. Like Fire I get Fire isn't the best player in the world, but he was good as fucking MW. I played with him. He got sent to that team and like just
stock
like,
obliterated.
Stock and he had bad
laughing stock.
He played good in the first season. The first season they weren't even the worst team. They were okay. The second season they got obliterated and his stock went to the fucking gutter, bro.
I stand by this. Fire's a great player still. He's still a great player.
Too, but bro, do you guys remember how disgusting Aqua used to be, like talent wise? Like
gone.
He was like
they zapped the passion out of you,
bro. Scraps.
They had
they suck it out.
Is Zaptius even playing anymore?
No, he went to Valorant.
Bro, Zap
to Valorant.
Yeah, Zap plays Valorant.
Bro, the guy's stock got torched so much he went to a different esport.
And Zap was playing well with London when he was with Paul.
Yeah, no, he was.
They were turning it around. And then all of a sudden he got basically benched, or not benched. He got kicked off the team, sent back to challengers. Never got an opportunity since. But like, and these are completely different games. But if you watch him play Valorant, like you can tell this guy's a talented player, like a talented gamer. Like just I'm not comparing him to Dashy, but like Dashy goes and plays Valorant, talented as fucking Valorant, talented as fucking COD. Talent transitions to other games. And I think like you're saying, just in general, like people's got their stock sent to the fucking gutter through the Paris machine, dude. Like Scraps used to be amazing, dude. I thought Scraps was fucking disgusting. Like just from a talent perspective, I'm not saying this guy necessarily was playing the right way or doing this and that, but just like talent, like that guy could shoot. Aqua, that guy could shoot. Like these guys were all like slayers at some point, but then they went to Paris and now they're just not even relevant anymore. Not in the league. I don't know. I think
there's only one man that can save the Paris Legion. And his name is Patrick Aches Price, baby. Hire him as the general manager.
Pat, what would it
pay
take
this
you?
man?
What would it take you to play?
To be GM?
No, to compete for the Paris Legion.
Oh, way more than you asked for, bro.
Oh, okay.
I probably wouldn't even compete. They would have to offer me ownership, bro. No bullshit. That's what it would take. Like 50%, 51% majority control. That's the only way. But listen, we're all on the Paris hate train, bro. They're a horrible organization. What do you guys think about these?
Team, though.
Yeah, of course. What do you guys think about these bounty matches, though?
Garbage.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a lazy little marketing thing. I don't know. I thought it could have been
Didn't add no
way better
excitement
use of that money.
to me. We talked about it, and like it could have been way better if they used all that money into like a weekly
or weekend tournament. Yeah, weekend
tournament. I think that would have been way more just interesting. Maybe people would have been excited about, bro. Like, I know $10,000 is $10,000, especially one series, but like, come on,
bro. They could, bro. I guarantee you,
it added zero excitement.
The problem is that the impact
would have been cool.
Yeah, and the impact
pool.
It gets boiled down to $2,500 a player, then the org takes a cut of it. So it's like the players are playing for essentially like $2,000 each for a one-on-one match in a best of 5. Like if we got on. Yeah, if we streamed right now and I said, yo, us 4, let's go play like the worst. Let's go play Paris Legion right now, us 4. And if we beat them in a best of 5, we'll get 2 racks each. Like, we're going to be hyped for that and we'll be like down to stream that. It reminds me of like the Money 8s back in the day when like it was me versus Crim for $1,000, like head up. Like, it was really entertaining. But when it's like an official CDL franchise with the team versus the team, and they always play for hundreds of thousands of dollars, for them to play for $2,500, like, the bounty match, like, it doesn't make me have this ticking light bulb in my head where I go, oh, the bounty match, I have to go watch that. It's for $10,000. It's like, I'm with you on that.
Bro, the bounty shit was terrible. We've already talked about this. League matches are just an L, bro. Like, we need actual tournaments. Like, people want tournament. League matches don't create storylines. Like, tournaments do. Like, as a tournament progresses, many storylines happen with teams. And people eat that shit up. Like, that is what I think that is something the league lacks, is just like in-house league style tournaments that might not mean anything with direct correlation with the league, but just like, it's just like practice and it's good hype. Like, it's good content. Like, people would fucking watch that shit. People would eat it up, maybe even let the player stream it. Like, I don't know. I just think the bounty matches are just a, like, what are they? It's just like, it's almost like desperate. Like, I think they've probably acknowledged the shitty viewership for league matches, and I think that was their like attempt to get people interested in it. But as you said, it didn't. It didn't help.
Seeing them like after they win, like Alley Cat and the desk and all them like
money
shooting
gun?
money. That to me,
funny.
I was like,
I enjoyed it. I thought that was funny.
I personally just thought like it was just like, and then like seeing the players' interviews after where they're like, hey, we're your biggest fans. Thank you to our biggest fans, Toronto Ultra, for giving us the money, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems so unorganic to me.
Corny, bro.
It's forced. It's forced as fuck. It's forced as fuck. I think the way you draw out a lot of these players' personalities and stuff like that is you get them in an environment where, one, they're on camera, and two, they're in a actual serious competitive environment, not where it's just like one league match. One league match or just one game is barely enough to get the blood flowing, and you know that from a competitor standpoint, right? Your first match,
league matches or
a tournament or something like that, it's just like you're just gonna get going, and then like after your league match is over, it's like you're just left wanting more. Like, if you're an actual like competitive hungry player, it's just like it doesn't bring out the dog in you, man. That's what like tournaments did back in the day. They brought out the dog in people. It's like they got people so gassed up just being in this heavy, sweaty environment for hours on end, just like really grinding for something on the day. Nowadays, league matches to me, like, they suck the passion out of the COD community, but they also suck the COD or the passion out of like a player. Because think about it, a league match to me, it's like work, bro. It's like you're showing up for your fucking job. It's like you wake up, you have breakfast, and it's like, all right, time to go prepare for my league match. Like, it's not like I don't know. It's just, it doesn't feel the fucking
fun
same.
out of it. It took the fun out of it.
They
for
don't.
me,
Yeah, the fun of it used to be those long tournaments where you're like, oh, I got to play against FaZe, then I got to play against OpTic, then I got to play against Envy, then I got to play against. All right,
it actually zapped my passion for competing.
It did,
the league match
bro.
format.
It did.
It was gone.
Because think about it, the majority. So you spend the majority of your time scrimming back in the day, and then you go into a high octane tournament. That shit is hype. Nowadays, you spend the majority of your time scrimming, and then the other majority of your time is just on fucking league matches.
Bro, they feel like it's just a requirement, like something you just have to do. Like you don't want to do, but you just have to do because it's the format.
Yeah, you just, bro. I know for a fact everyone just wants to get to this tournament, bro. No one gives a fuck about obviously people are trying,
Of course,
because it's important, but like, do you know how hard? I feel like it's so hard to get in the mindset for just one match. Like, I don't know.
It's forced. It's like forced in a way.
With nothing on the line but seeding for an event that's 5 weeks away.
It wouldn't be that big of a deal though if they actually did it how the LCS did, where you had a centralized area. Everyone went to the studio, and I know that there was COVID and everything, but like even now, I guess you'd have to be vaccinated, don't vaccinate, whatever, negative. But like, and having fans there, that would solve everything. That's the issue with the league, though, because they wanted to do it this year, but then they basically didn't do it because some players didn't want to move or didn't want to be there. I'm not going to say any players' names, but
wasn't it also some players didn't want to get like the vaccine and shit?
I don't know. Don't care.
Oh shit! How is Paris gonna get Jimbo in the damn arena? They can't even get him to play in the U.S.
Well, I'm saying the league should have forced, like, because then the players would be more like. We've played at a studio for league matches, right? Where there's
that was
fans.
fun. Yeah, that was fun.
That like, yeah, you're not in a tournament essentially, and you're not in like a big arena or stadium.
Gives the effect.
Yeah, you have that effect to some degree, and it changes everything. Not only for the players, for the fans that maybe live in the area, they want to see the matches live. Like the way they do it now, dude, it's tragic. We talk about it all the time, bro. I'm honestly, it's tough because it's just so bad. I'm sorry, I know we weren't talking about the league being shit again, but it's just horrible.
Also the downside of that, right?
Such
the
an
league
easy
matches
topic to talk about.
Wait, but also the downside of the league matches with the kind of like region-based franchises is the ping. Like we got certain teams playing on certain servers, and to make it fair, they have to artificially inflate some teams' ping, and it's a whole nother. Well, that's a whole nother thing in its own. Is like the fairness of like the online matches now. You know, the way we're set up, where we have a team in LA, a team in Florida, a team in Toronto. Like it's four guys all in one location, and like yeah, there's a bunch of teams in Texas, and that's beneficial. But like when you have four guys all spread out, there's no way to make that fair. Like there's no way.
I'm not saying that they're doing this, but it almost feels like, bro, think about it, them artificially adding something into the game to basically not to like
make the pings even
to basically benefit a team, or to like not benefit a team, but to minimize benefits of like location. It almost feels like it almost feels like fucking match fixing in a way. It's like you're just like you're adding something to influence the results of a game in theory, right? Like I get why they're doing it, and I get how it works, but to me there's zero fucking way that this feels equal to somebody that is actually playing on a normal like ping. Like for example, in like if you're playing from location A to location B, I feel like your ping fluctuates quite a bit. It's usually around a certain range. But when you're adding a certain buffer, is what the way you can look at it, to get a player to a certain number. At the very least, you're adding a buffer that's consistent, so that they're consistently sitting at a number and not fluctuating at all. I would almost rather take the buffer. I don't know how it would work, but I just think them adding some sort of third party tool to the natural locations of players rather than just picking a fucking server, there's something can't be right there. Like there's no way this doesn't affect the game.
There has to be at least one person out there that watches the show that is like an IT specialist. I would love to get their opinion on that, because we were talking about it before the show. Pat, you said that you think that they only like artificially inflate the pings for like not every series, but depending on which two teams are playing, it'd be like if LAT's playing or Florida.
If there's a big discrepancy between the two
like
teams.
If there's two teams in Texas, or a Texas and a whatever, like they're not going to artificially inflate it. But I would just want to know if it actually works, or if it's just kind of like for show, or B, Chris, what you were saying, where if they're artificially inflating it, like what actually happens. Because yeah, it's not the exact same thing where you have
There's no way it
the
is,
ping
bro.
fluctuate like if it was organically.
Obviously, I'm not saying they're fucking determining the results of a match, but it almost can feel that way because they're able to artificially add something to a team to make it so that they are either at like more of a disadvantage or an advantage to the other team. Like, I
Yo,
don't know if
Dash,
that
you
makes
dropping a
any sense.
1.3. Now let's boost the ping up a little bit.
You imagine, imagine that's
And
how it works.
you know how players are too. Like they're gonna get finicky about that too. Like players are very OCD.
Also, I think we were talking to Temp before the flank. We were watching some of the CDL matches, and he says that apparently the game like lags, like legitimately lags on the like the actual LAN servers or whatever the fuck they play on. So that's just another issue. I don't know, bro. Listen, picking on the league is like the last thing we want to do, but it's just
We want to pick them. We want to pick them, Chris. We want to pick the matches.
Hey, yo, all I'm
I
saying.
like that. That's a
Hey,
good
you like that, Ian?
transition,
All
Doug. That's
you
a
like
good-
that?
Hold on. All I'm saying though
It's
is,
true.
yo, Simp and Abizi weren't dropping 0.7s before the artificial pings became a
All
thing.
of a
That's all I'm saying.
sudden,
That's all I'm saying. Hey, you never know. Some IT techs for the league could be
OpTic
OpTic fans.
yo,
fans.
Crimson.
You never know. You never know.
Seems like he's kind of beating my pace. He'll be the greatest all time. Nah, some
Yo, give him 50 ping real quick. Give him 50 ping.
or something. I don't know.
Guys, I want the pick'ems and I want them now. I want to know for next week. We have a couple of matches that are handpicked by James in our chat. And I think you guys are going to be interested back at home with these matches too. We have 3 matches we're going to highlight right now. We have ROKKR versus FaZe, OpTic versus NYSL, and Seattle versus Florida. I don't want to do the whiteboard this week. I just want us to talk about these real quick. I want to go one by one. Ian, starting with you, ROKKR versus FaZe. Who do you got?
I still have FaZe. I mean, to me, right now, OpTic's the best team in the game, and I think FaZe is still right there. But they're a team that they just like can't get over that hump of beating OpTic, or it seems like a team in the finals. But they pretty much handle every other team easily. So Minnesota has looked good. I just don't think they have enough to beat FaZe in a best of 5.
Chris?
I want to say FaZe. FaZe is always just the easiest answer. It's like, oh, they beat everybody except for OpTic right now. But like,
Number one team in the CDL standings still.
I like rooting for underdogs, man. And
Barely.
I think with ROKKR looking up and ROKKR looking good at search and destroy, and FaZe lacking in the search and destroy department as of late, I think they could probably pull up an upset if they keep form. Because I think, dude, ROKKR look good. I don't know if
They do look good. They
I don't know if they
do.
look good enough to be FaZe, but they look good. Like they just look much better in respawn. They're still winning search and destroys. Like it's pretty impressive. I'm pretty happy for them. But so I'm gonna go with ROKKR. I'm just gonna go with the underdog pick. And then we got OpTic versus New York Subliners. This
What
is
the?
a
Whoa,
fun-
slow
Oh,
down.
you're
son.
right. I'm sorry.
You're skipping a step here, Chris. I was gonna say, wait,
Doug is our host,
I was
bro.
gonna go and say we should get Pat's, but I know Pat's gonna say FaZe 3-0. So before Pat even says that, I just want to say I think this is gonna be like a FaZe 3-1. Honestly, FaZe they look good versus everyone except for OpTic. They don't shoot back, it seems, when they play OpTic, but then they shoot back versus everyone else, right? So I'm gonna say FaZe is gonna win this. Pat, who do you got?
FaZe 3-0. What's the next one?
All right, next one is OpTic versus NYSL. Pat, I want to start with you now. Actually, I want to give my pick first before we go to you, Pat, because you guys love to talk. OpTic versus NYSL. I'm going to say OpTic's going to win this 3-1, and I'm going to say Prolute's going to keep on frying. Go ahead, Pat.
Listen, I got a big upset here. I got NYSL coming out hot. I think we're going to see a crazy performance out of Paco. I think this
Pat's
is
off
going
the
to be
heady.
like this is going to be his like takeover series.
Gotta be drunk.
Like this is going to be his like Shotzi who match. So I think
He's had like 7 of them this year alone.
and-
They still lost all the series.
yeah, but they didn't have the team they had now. And I think, I think all of NYSL is kind of mad after that loss at Toronto, right? Porter got smoked. I don't think he's going to have a series like that again. Kind of a little grudge match for Porter based on like what happened in the offseason and stuff like that. So I'm going to go NYSL 3-2 game 5 clutch up.
Nah.
Wait, who's
Incorrect.
going next? Who's going next?
Ian already called it. Ian called it.
Same answer, Chris.
I'm fried, bro.
OpTic's going to win this either 3-0 or 3-1. I mean, they are the best team in the game right now. They're about to be number 1 in the CDL standings after this match. They haven't missed a beat with Prolute. filling in for Illy. Honestly, it's a little too early to call right now. Maybe not. They might even be better with Prolute, in my opinion. I think that they might be a little bit more well-rounded. And NYSL has been good. I would say NYSL is a top 4 team, top 5 at the absolute worst in the game right now. But they're going up against the best team. They don't got enough firepower. And OpTic just doesn't have a weakness. So I don't know where I would give the advantage to NYSL in that series.
Yeah, OpTic definitely gonna win this series, but I'm honestly hoping that New York can change my mind maybe and just put up a good fight, because I've been said this. I think New York are looking like a top 4 team in the game right now, along with Ultra and FaZe and OpTic. So hopefully they play well, because that could be a fun series, bro. I said that about I think what was it, Saturday? I was like, bro, look at these matches. They're about to be lit. And then they were so boring, bro. It was like the most boring day of matches.
Yeah.
It was like 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. I was like, bro, what am I fucking watching? So I'm really just hoping for a good match, because I
Y'all
can't take
sleeping on the
another day
Pro-Am
of-
champions.
I can't take another day of matches. Like I've just had enough.
Pro-Am champion. I mean, Toronto, you're champs, Pat. Your 2022 CDL COD champs should have beat them. They choked horribly at the Pro-Am.
On land, yeah, on land.
At the
But then
Pro-Am.
they did lose them online with Scrappy. That guy's godlike. Anyways, what's next match?
Last match I have for us is Seattle versus Florida. I don't really see this as like some high marquee match, to be
I'm
honest
gonna
with
be
you.
asleep during that one. No.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, hold on. No, you guys might be asleep, but this could be a bloodbath. Like, I'm not even kidding. This could be a match where it's just blow for blow, because like these teams both just like to just challenge. Like,
This will be the most competitive series out of the 3, 100%. Oh,
It
Blow
could
for
be.
blow.
I can see it going
battle
both
of
ways.
the mid. Out of the mid.
hey, look,
the
they have
battle-
That is so ruthless, bro.
I love that meme.
The battle of
I'm
the
picking
mid,
Seattle
shout out
3-2.
Belly.
Seattle is winning the series 3-2. That's my prediction.
I would favor Seattle for sure. If I was watching and not sleeping during the series, I would pick Seattle.
I think Seattle's on the up and up. They just look a lot better now, a lot more organized. Sib's talking about how they're playing with a more they're just playing more systematic. Pred and Sib have been playing a lot more consistently. We definitely got to keep seeing that if we want to rate them higher. But I'm going with Seattle.
Well, Florida upset. I don't know how they do it.
Oh, you are drunk.
He's got to be that guy, man.
You
He
see how he
hates
said
Seattle,
it nonchalant?
Yeah, I know. He has to be that
Florida,
guy.
Florida upset. What?
Imagine they do and not come back, and y'all are like, pass. Yo, imagine next week we come back, Fate or NYSL beat OpTic and Florida beat Seattle.
Yeah,
y'all
then
gonna
you're gonna
say?
look like a genius. But when they lose, you're like, they were supposed to lose. They
But
were
I look like a
supposed to.
genius.
The long con.
That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
I know. Pat thinks he's slick.
That's all that matters.
Pat
That's
said
all
the
that
same.
matters.
Pat said the same thing. He's like, "Yo, we're gonna come back to this shit when OpTic loses to FaZe with."
They will.
Prolute."
They will.
Oh,
At
he did say that.
major 4 grand finals. They will. Hey, no, hold on. I predicted.
End the episode, bro.
Yeah, but hey, I predicted FaZe to assert dominance and be the #1 team in the world, and today they did. The FaZe Clan CS:GO won EGL Major, cemented themselves as the #1 team in the world. Anyway, it was a great episode as always, guys. We didn't do a question from the chat, but we will next week. So make sure you get a comment down there, ask any question you want, and we'll be sure to answer it next week. But always like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to subscribe because these guys want me to take my hat off, and we'll see if you guys can show up to the plate. You lacked the last 2 weeks, but yeah, that's all for us. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.